in a very, very, very short space of time, early breathless utopianism has given way to something a lot more mixed. In parts, as I say, of the debate in the tech world, perhaps particularly in America, but elsewhere, utopianism is now being married to dystopianism, which is very confusing to decision makers. Is it a good or a bad thing? But it is at least giving way to a profound sense, which I guess is why many of you are here today, that with the tech revolution come new responsibilities, wider ethical responsibilities, social responsibilities, that it is impossible to enter into this world given the profound effects that it has on society as a whole without doing so with a equally profound sense of responsibility as commercial sort of entrance into the market. Then, conversely, on the other side of the fence, in politics, you've also had a very rapid journey where a few years ago, certainly, I left government, I was booted out of government through just over 3 years ago, and left, actually no, was booted out of Parliament just over a year ago. So, you know, my sort of, the time when I was really in the kind of trenches in politics from 2000, whatever it is, or Westminster politics from 2005 to 15, that decade, pretty well all of that time, there was a kind of unspoken assumption amongst most politicians, when they even bothered to devote 30 seconds of thinking time to it, that tech was kind of a good thing and we don't really understand it, but let's try and do everything we can to make these extraordinary young people with PhDs coming out of their ears and constantly wearing T-shirts, whether it's rain or shine, to do great stuff, and with European stars even better on it, to do great things. In other words, I think there was just an unspoken, slightly glib, and no doubt, by the way, now looking back on it, rather naive assumption, very much mirroring the slightly frothy, breathless utopianism in the tech sector itself, that somehow all would be well, and that there was a bit of a race on amongst governments to try and attract the best, the brightest, and so on. But it was a kind of, the relationship should be one where just let them get on with their trickery, and let them get on with their genius inventions, let them get on with their new innovations, and hopefully in the long run, people will be better off, tax revenues will rise, and everyone will be happy. It is extraordinary to me how quickly that has curdled and changed. Even in the very short time, it's only a year and a half that I've been out of Parliament. When I was in Parliament, the 12 years I was in the British Parliament, and before that 5 years in the European Parliament, it really would be unthinkable that MPs, or indeed MEPs, would do what they now do. Now, and I'm of course simplifying somewhat unfairly, but now, pretty well any jobbing parliamentarian from any party, if they want to garner almost any publicity, all they need to do is bash out a press release saying, and I'm being very facetious here, you know, I slipped in my bathroom and I bashed my head and it's tech's fault. And this rampantly unregulated, undertaxed, privacy-destroying, data-plundering behemoth must be reined in because I don't want to slip on my shower floor again. And then, of course, what happens, because there's a ready-made audience for it in the traditional newspapers, who for their own either sometimes good reasons, but frankly also slightly sort of lower grade commercial reasons, because their advertising model is being disrupted by what's going on in the tech sector generally, readily pick up these press releases and say on page 4 or page 5, MP slips in bathroom because of tech. Now, I'm being very facetious and a bit silly about this, but I illustrate a really important political point, which is in a remarkably short space of time, the tech sector as a whole has mutated from a politician's point of view of being something which is beheld with wonder, if a fair amount of ignorance and confusion, to something now which can be readily and easily condemned at any time of day or night, and will then get a ready echo chamber in the traditional, particularly the traditional newspaper media, which then of course creates a feedback loop, because that makes the politicians feel great because they think their constituents read it, and so on and so forth.